I've just heard from the Supreme Court that Abhishek Singhvi has concluded his argument, but he's basically said, hold off the floor test for a week. That would be true justice. He's seeking 1 more week's time for Uddhav Thackeray. He says, how can the court allow an artificial majority to hold something as sanctified as a floor test? There isn't even one notice from 75 years of parliament where one notice is treated as a no confidence motion. Suppose a letter is sent that doesn't even have correct emails and signatures, it's unverified, the speaker can't touch it. He is asking for 1 extra week. That is what we've heard. I've just received information from the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court bench has reserved its verdict. Nalini Sharma joins us. Judges to discuss and pass the order. The arguments have been concluded, Nalini?
Yes, Rahul, and what we are given to understand is that at 9 p.m. today is when the order is expected to be passed by the Supreme Court bench, specifically on the aspect of as to whether or not the floor test will be allowed. But the reason why, Rahul, this case is different from so many others, and these were also arguments that were put forth by the Eknath Shinde camp before the Supreme Court, was because several times we've seen the Supreme Court open way past its working hours, but it's always been to decide as to whether or not a floor test should happen immediately. This is the first time we're seeing the Supreme Court decide as to whether or not a floor test should be stayed. That is one of the reasons as to why this case is so peculiar as compared to the others. Another case that was pointed out by Dr. Singhvi as well as all of the other lawyers as well was that the Supreme Court, by indulging into the disqualification proceedings and extending the deadline for the 16 disqualified MLAs, has intervened in the matter already. So because the disqualification proceedings are now officially pending before the Supreme Court, they become a very important aspect of how things will play out regarding the other proceedings that are supposed to happen before the Assembly. But the Supreme Court categorically said that they will be passing the order at 9 p.m. today. It's a 2-judge bench. All the arguments have been completed. There is another petition after this, though, that has to be heard, but that's on a completely different aspect. So we'll have to wait and see whether the Supreme Court will take it up today or they'll take it up tomorrow. But on the floor test, half an hour to go from now is when we're expecting for the Supreme Court to pass its interim order. We will know what the fate of the Uddhav Thackeray faction is going to be by the virtue of this order, because this is what's going to decide about who is going to form the government in Maharashtra and how things are going to play out over the next coming few days.
Last time we were doing this in Uttarakhand and Arunachal, that felt like a one-day match. This is feeling more like a IPL T20 match. 9 o'clock, half an hour, that's like quick.
Rahul, you might recall the worst one was Karnataka.
Correct.
Which went on, I remember I was on Aaj Tak with the late Rohit Sardana, and we went down till about 4:30 in the morning, and Dr. Singhvi was involved in that as well. That time he was on the right side, as it appeared, on the side that won the case. But look, this will happen time and again, because particularly in small assemblies like Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, defections are much easier to manage. Maharashtra is more of a surprise. When you get such a large chunk to break away, more than 39 or 55, that's the surprise. I think all of us who've tracked Maharashtra politics are just surprised by the scale of this Shiv Sena rebellion. It's one thing for 3 or 4 MLAs to defect, but 39, and the difference, Rahul, the point you made, going back to the voter, the Shiv Sena MLAs don't want to go back to the voter. Let's be very clear. One of the reasons, in fact, that they are shifting sides is because they are hoping in 2024, with the full might of the BJP, on the back of Lok Sabha elections, when you go to Maharashtra, they have a better chance. But they don't want to, in the next 3 months, face the electorate again. There is a lot of anger out there, not just against Shiv Sena MLAs, but all MLAs of Maharashtra in the last couple of years. So
Anisha
that's a big risk to take.
She was inside the Supreme Court when this case was being argued. Anisha, give our viewers a sense of, can you hear me, Anisha? You were in the court. Anisha, describe to our viewers the arguments that were taking place in front of you.
I can't hear you very clearly. Can you hear me?
I hear you well. Just go on and tell me what happened inside the court. Give us the highlights.
Well, Rahul, we've seen almost 3.5-hour argument in the Supreme Court on the various aspects of whether the floor test is valid or not. Now, the Supreme Court will pronounce its verdict at 9 p.m. That is the most important point at this moment. Or from both sides, from the Shiv Sena, the Uddhav Thackeray faction, as well as from the rebel MLAs, as well as the governor, detailed, exhaustive arguments on the issue of whether a floor test can be conducted, what are the powers of the speaker, what are the issues involved with regard to the disqualification of MLAs. And Rajdeep was just talking about the Karnataka case where the matter went on all throughout the night, and we've seen in the Maharashtra case in 2019 also the matter went on till quite late in the evening, till late at night. And this once again the judgment now expected at 9 p.m. and at that time the court will also take up the issue of the jailed NCP MLAs who asked for permission to come and vote in the assembly. The big takeaways from this 3.5 hour hearing at the moment is that the debate in the court is still about the priority of the proceedings. So Abhishek Manu Singhvi for the Shiv Sena has been arguing that a floor test cannot be conducted in the current situation, that the governor has acted in an incorrect manner, that the governor has acted with undue haste, and that the governor did not have the adequate information on which he has taken his decision. Now, what Singhvi is arguing is that the governor has taken his decision on the basis of the meeting with the leader of opposition. He has not consulted at all with the chief minister. He has not in fact given enough time for anyone to consult with anyone, and he should not have taken such a decision. On the other side, of course, the rebel MLAs as well as the governor raising the question of the constitutional precedents about the powers of the governor, of the question of whether the speaker could have entertained the disqualification petitions at all, and more importantly from the Solicitor General on behalf of the governor has come a very, very important argument that there has been a question of serious violence, breakdown of law and order, and threats against the life of at least 38 MLAs, and all of whom have written a letter to the governor raising this issue of their safety and the safety of their families.